fade from my eyes. My plane could fall from the sky. The world could tell me this is my time. Count my blessings every day. I'm more than I deserve. Sing this song when I am gone. I'll be in every word. But I know the light could fade from my eyes. My plane could fall from the sky. The world could tell me this is my time. And if I should die here tonight, darling, know that you saved my life. Felt your love every day. Had a thing I would change, and I know you'll be okay.
Well, welcome to the show, everybody. It's New Comic Book Wednesday, but it's not. It is the third week without getting comic books, everybody. The music you're currently listening to is Gareth Emery with Annabel. You'll Be Okay. This is the tune of the week. And some of these X-Men books you'll have been noticing are both the newsprint, or rather newsstand, as well as the direct. These aren't exactly a gimmick, but this is just showing you that there are many different types of a single cover. And it takes a little time before, and yes, this is the first appearance of Jubilee, I wound up getting just about every single one of these from our resident host, co-host, Mr. Miracleman. So after I show some of these last ones here, we'll go ahead and show who the whole entire cast is. So these are some of the last ones, and we're coming up to the gimmick cover of gimmick covers. So I do want to thank Miracleman for helping me get to cross off a lot of these little bastards down here. So now that we got a chance to listen to the tune of the week. Now, just to let you know, this intro is something that we're going to be doing every week. We do it from week to week, but I'll probably wind up trimming this portion out for any time that we start doing edited videos, which will be coming very shortly. So how about we go ahead and join the rest of the cast? Welcome to Not Near Mint, everybody. My name is Rob Wurst, and I hope that you have ready yourself for today, because we have some very interesting comic books to show you. It's the 90s. Now, we don't know whether or not Diamond might be okay. We don't know whether or not Marvel or DC will be okay. We don't know if Carol Baskin's husband will ever be okay or found or is live or dead. My God, I think we're all going out of our heads. So how about we check in with the rest of our staff? And just throw in there that this show is for 18 and over, despite the fact that we do talk about comic books. So let's go ahead and say a fellow hello cheer to the comic community with Lady Fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm glad to see everybody tonight. I'm ready to show you some absurdly gimmicky books, because I've got a handful.
We're talking some 90s goodness and stuff that'll make you just go, wow.
Some pure, unadulterated gimmick.
And also, we have with us, who texted us right in the middle. He's backstage. He's with us. He is the one, the only Miracleman.
Hey, guys. How are you? Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thanks for having us. I mean, never mind. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming. We're all excited to be in our homes, locked, not going anywhere. Right? Comics on the Mind?
Yes, I am excited. What's up, you guys? There's human interaction. How's everybody doing?
Oh, I've been looking forward to this all week because
I have
otherwise
too.
all I've been doing is CLZing. I haven't even been reading anything. I've been bouncing around watching other people's YouTube channels just because I need to section up time, because if you get too involved down a rabbit hole, you'll get sucked in. You'll have no time to go, oh, I'm really bored, and it's been 8 hours now. Where is my life?
One thing that they've been preaching with my job is making a schedule, putting yourself on a schedule, and that's one thing I've been trying to do. So because if I'm the same way, I'll be just sitting there. I'm like, what should I be? I should be doing something right now. So, but I have been reading some stuff. Like I read this issue of Defenders, and man, this is a pretty dark issue. Like,
yeah, you were showing us some pictures earlier this week.
Oh yeah. I was just going through my Defenders collection. Man, that story is.
Can you find that page that you were showing us? And while you're looking for that page, let me go ahead and say hi to the people in the chat room. We have Mr. Gretzky joining us. Good to see, as always, along with Gillick. We have some comic book hunter. Miracleman is also in the chat room with us, along with Comics on the Mind. Let's see that page.
Yeah, just look at the comment that he says. Read that.
Oh my God.
That's definitely it's definitely not aged well.
You crazy white lady. This ain't Park Avenue, Blanca. A man is a man, El Macho. Down here, I don't take no orders from no woman.
Yeah, that seems age appropriate at the time.
Yeah, there's a lot of they the serpent people killed this black man, and it was like some deep stuff. Even though it was funny seeing Hulk in love with the baby. Hulk wants to play with baby. He was really fascinated with the baby that Valkyrie ended up saving. So good stuff. Oh, YouTube is 90s in the house.
Oh, chat. Rock on. I know that other people might be streaming tonight, so we do appreciate each and every one of you that has joined with us tonight at 10 p.m. because we're doing this every single week. We've been doing this for 34 weeks strong now, and we're going to be back for a 35th week. Now, there might not be new comic books. At least the community with us will be here for you, the community, because we're thankful that you're here because we have a reason to talk about the thing that we still like.
We love you.
Fucking Carol Baskin.
Fucking Carol Baskin.
She killed her husband, man. She killed her husband. She fed that man to the tigers. I'm telling you.
She's
a lion.
Guys.
I don't know
I
what.
still need to watch the documentary. It's on my list for Netflix.
Dude,
I've been watching people talk about it on YouTube.
It's like reading National Enquirer back in the 80s, except it's a video.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Pure unadulterated trash that you can't look away from.
It is the world's most glorious train wreck.
Sounds delicious.
It makes you feel better about your life. Like, I got my shit together.
By comparison,
it is a boost to your esteem. You're like, well, at least I don't fucking have Carol Baskins after me.
I still have 2 episodes left to watch, but wow, is that a train wreck? I was not planning on watching it until I was watching, I don't know, it was TKS Batcave earlier this week, and everyone was talking about Tiger King. Had no idea what they were talking about. I finally decided to watch a Ryan George video, and let's see, what is it about? It's about guns, drugs, cults, murder, murder for hire, a presidential campaign, big cats, and garbage meat.
Dude.
Okay, I'm listening.
It is insane. Everybody involved is like the world's worst example of whatever they are.
Not good humans.
Not good humans.
Not the best.
The best human out of all of them was the guy who runs the campaign.
Oh, yeah, that guy. The libertarian.
Right.
Especially when he's saying, well, I feel very bonded to him because after witnessing a tragedy that was so bad with the one guy,
I didn't think Safi came out so bad. The one with the...
She came out pretty good, but it just seemed like I'm going to take one for the team by, well, my arm still
That was
works.
too
It's still
extreme.
right. But I just said, go ahead and cut it off. I want to get back to work.
Like 2 years of reconstructive surgery really isn't that much.
No.
You know what? Let me clarify what I said there. Every main person, the people who work at those
staff or whatever,
the staff, those people very clearly are working to do something that they love, to take care of animals. They cared very deeply. You know, some of them obviously came. If you watch the people watch this show. I mean, we're talking about this show, and I'm sorry because I'm sure people haven't seen it, but watch this show because the good people in there really stand out as exemplary people, and they might really just be like regular old people, but they stand out as exemplary because the horrible people are really horrible.
Yeah, that's kind of like when you're seeing.
It gets weird real fast, and it's kind of amazing.
When there's somebody that lost their arm to a tiger, and they only spend about 5% of their time on that because there's so much other bizarre crap going on. Yeah, I'm hooked.
But here's the thing: the fact of the matter is that dude Joe Exotic, whatever, he saved her life. He put that tourniquet on her arm, like fucking. So I mean, yeah, it's negligence, but at the same time, it's like it's good he was there.
Well, right, but did he do it to save that? Like, you know what? This is a show about comic books, but
I know.
We're going to get back to that. Every single show's talking about this. So if we devote
out of 10 minutes, okay.
It should be a fucking comic book.
So here's the thing: did he save that woman's life because he cared about that woman's life, or because he thought it would be bad publicity for the park?
I think it's a little of both, don't you?
I think it's all that it's bad publicity. I don't think he cares about that woman's life, not one lick.
Well, after he lost Travis, lost is a pretty light word to use, but after Travis accidentally shot himself in the head because he's on meth.
Did you see the guy, the libertarian's like expression?
Yeah, that was. We're like giving away all the good stuff.
Oh no, we're giving away like 2% of this. Whatever we talk about does not justify how crazy everything unfolds.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
It is very comic-like. I'm just gonna say that
it's insane. I feel bad for everybody involved, but I think
I feel bad for the cats.
Right. That's the one. That's the one. That's the worst. Is the cat.
The Walmart special. This is all the expired stuff. But here's a good point here from some comic book hunter. 24% of my click-through has been through a video about that girl and that murder. I think he's talking about that video, and it's kind of like throwing back to, of all things, Breaking Bad. When it's towards the end of the series and you have Skyler confronting Walter White about his criminal deeds, and he goes, "I was doing it for my family." No, Walter, you were doing this for yourself.
Right.
And that's exactly Joe Exotic right there. Did we just lose? We just lost Comics on the Mind. He'll probably join us back in just a second.
All right, dude. We should transition to gimmicks.
Yes. So we don't know what's going to be happening in the world from one moment to the next, but one thing that we can count on is how weird and bizarre and gimmicky the 1990s were. Mm-hmm. So how about we start showing some old gimmick-ass covers from the 90s. Now, I know that Lady Fantastic has been working up a nice big stack there. Do you want to kick off where some of the history began, where you were picking up your... Do you remember the very first gimmick cover you picked up?
Okay. This is what I'll say. I remember, okay, gimmick to me, it means a lot of things. And so here the what I'm going to show you an example of a gimmick that I think absolutely bastardized the covers of perfectly fine comics. And this was in like the Bronze Age. And it's just like, I don't care what you think. This shit, I hated it. I don't care if it's Spider-Man, I don't
The
care.
bicycle ones, yeah, I hate those ones too.
You know, like, this shit made me irate. Do you want $2,500? There's so much art.
You could win.
In all these. Like, I don't want this. It's a gimmick. And it makes me angry. So that's like the earliest, like, I can think of that the gimmick that really just chapped my ass. And then I'm going to show you some gimmicks that I think are done like subtly and more appropriately. So you've got Hulk here, but it says Marvel's TV sensation side by side with man. So they're clearly, you know, showing this is okay. Come watch it on TV. You know, I take gimmicks also as advertising, you know, Marvel's TV, but it's not taking up a fifth of the damn page. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying there's ways to do these things. And one was done well, and one absolutely just lit me on fire, man.
Well, Z Collects has it pretty right. But you could win $2,500.
I could. I didn't. So what now?
Say something.
And real quick, I want to thank some of the people that are now in the chat room. We have Comics on the Mind, who is still with us, but also we have Sharon, Life with Two YouTubers, where her daughter, Rena Brown, just came out with her book, Isle of the Dark. Do go check out isleofthedark.com to go order your copy. See, go ahead. Order yours. I ordered mine.
I got mine.
I got mine.
Yep.
Yeah, when my copy comes in, I'm wearing this shirt. Nice and signed.
Oh, I should have got a shirt too.
Let's see what else you got, really fantastic.
Okay, so here's some more gimmick that I consider. These comics that they would do, like, don't do drugs, okay? Captain America, this kind of thing. Or, like, fucking save the rainforests and shit. Which, I mean, like, this is pretty ominous that this was made about 30 years ago, and we didn't do shit about it. But Azar and Emery tried their damnedest. Also, these really cool, like, comics you could Sports Illustrated, if you sent in like I don't know, points or whatever, you would get these like different players and stuff. But it was a gimmick, but it was a cool gimmick, you know what I mean? Presented by no one. Yeah.
That's cool.
And this is kind of one and I what we're gonna do, I guess, is we'll go around because I got a lot more, but like I would like to go around, you know what I mean? In different chunks, if that's cool. But then I'm going to start with the last, you know, that lenticular kind of 3D thing. I don't know, but it's a gimmick to me. It's always been a gimmick to me. I think it's dumb. You know.
I just like that run.
So, I mean, I like the comic, but it's just stupid. Why pay an extra $1 for something that really has a very minimal effect? I don't know. Whatever. All right, so you can toss it to somebody else, but I've got more.
All right, let's take a look and see what Miracleman has.
Well, first up, I have this is one of my least favorite gimmicks of the 90s, especially as a young fella who maybe didn't read every copy of previews that came out. For you newer comics folks, let me tell you, previews today, what a wonderful, wonderful thing to have. Yes, I get the internet's better, but back then, previews was not the reliable source of information it is today. So I didn't get it a whole lot. So right here, what we have is Justice League Spectacular #1. Now, this came out when they did a new push and a new team relaunch for the dual Justice League titles of the time. This is 1992. They had Justice League of America and Justice League Europe. This is the European team over here with arguably mostly the second stringers. Although I guess, you know, really that's pretty much second stringers too, isn't it? But here's the reason that this is a gimmick. They're the same comic. There's no difference. It's just a different cover. And it's the exact same comic inside. And in 1992, I didn't know that. So there I grabbed both of them. I'm like, well, there's two. I can't miss them. So I just grabbed them off the shelf.
Same thing.
Walk right up. Exact same comic. There goes $3. And you say there goes $3. $3 from 1992. That was a lot of money. That was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. So that was one of my least favorite gimmicks. Now, here's the ones I did like. So I'll do a least favorite to a more favorite. And these ones work out really, really nice. And the first book I have here is an example of how prevalent this was, because that is a self-published book that was published in Shamokin, Pennsylvania, which is in Cole Township. It's called Carbon Night. It is the only series ever to come out from Lunar Studios. And it has the embossed title, foil embossed title right up top here. Now, this book came out in 1996. It was $4.95 cover price. I'm sure you can imagine not a ton of these sold. The only reason I know about it is because I went into a comic shop in Pennsylvania at the time who actually had it sitting right at the counter, and they said, "Oh yeah, it's a local guy." And then I didn't buy it at $4.95, and then many years later, I found it in like a dollar bin in a flea market in like Rhode Island or something weird like that. But the Harris books, they had this is another example of it. This one's actually embossed, which means it's pressed into the page. This one isn't. This is just a foil overlay right on the top for this chrome. This is not really chrome. I guess that would be a foil for the foil title. But the big books did it, but even the smaller press books were giving you these types of embossments. And this is another. I'm going to show you another one that I really, really like. I showed you this one backstage before the show. So now, if you've read comics for a while, I'm sure you're familiar with the gatefold cover, right? You open it up and there's another cover, right? Well, this is a coffin fold cover. Evil Ernie, Straight to Hell, Chaos Comics, 1995, Brian Pulido. Man, Pulido still knocking out crazy-ass comics to this day. But this is a coffin fold, which means you open it up, and there's Evil Ernie in the coffin on the inside of the cover. Just a weird gimmick cover.
Man, Chaos is just a champion when it was coming to just the cutting edge.
Oh, that cover looks
all the kind of cover.
Yeah, I love Chaos at the time. There was nothing like it, and frankly, I think I've talked about it before. They tried to relaunch it at Dynamite without Ernie, with Ernie, but without Lady Death, because Lady Death is the only thing that Pulido still owns from his original Chaos universe. But it's just it wasn't the same. But Pulido's Lady Death books, man, it's just like old school Chaos, and it's awesome. So. And I'm gonna do one last little set here, because if we're gonna talk about gimmicks of the '90s, and we don't mention this like right at the beginning, what are we doing?
Oh, yep.
I should have grabbed mine.
So there's your black bag, Superman 75. I have like 4 copies of this today. In fact, I had so many of them, I shipped one down to my buddy in Colombia, Eduardo. Eduardo, if you're watching, I hope you're enjoying it. This first of all, Superman 75 was a huge gimmick all by itself. We all, getting there, the death of Superman, blah 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 blah. Which even at the time, comic people knew that wasn't going to last. But you had all these non-comic people showing up at the shop buying 25 copies. And here's the thing. Comic bags, and I'm sorry, I took it out of the screen for a reason. Comic bags eat your comics, boys and girls.
Yes, they do. Acid, boys and girls.
Yep. The first time that I ever saw this was on a Helena book, but I've never seen it on any other book. Helena which was being published by Lightning Comics. Jesus, there's still more in here. I wanted to show you what came in this bag. Helena, published by Lightning Comics, they had a they would always have these bagged editions. There we go. Jeez, man, there's so much stuff in here. They would always have these bagged editions, and the bagged editions actually said, they were printed on the back of it along the spine, the split. It said, "This bag will destroy your comic. Please take it out."
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, you got the black bag. This one came with the trading card. If you get a trading cards were huge back then.
Would you consider that a gimmick too?
Oh yeah, that was a big gimmick for a while, right?
I have one that goes in that category too.
And then you got the obituary was in there.
Oh wow.
And the armband
came in there. Then you had the armband, which was pretty sweet. This was actually pretty heavy duty. I don't know what they made this out of. You could legitimately wear it. There was also a set of stickers. It must still be in there. But then there's also this, and this was actually pretty sweet. And I'm not going to be able to unfold it completely. But then you had this giant poster for the death of Superman in there, which was all cool. And, Superman 75, still an iconic issue. People still grab it. Less iconic was this one, which just looks filthy all these years later.
Damn.
Adventures of Superman 500. There's his return. Nowhere near as good as 75. I mean, 75 is genuinely a really good story. But, same thing. Bagged issue. I actually think this had a lenticular cover, too. Just like a cutout lenticular cover. Man, those bagged issues.
And Jay Hood was Jamie Hood. He worked for Lightning Comics himself back in the day.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Who's that?
Jay Hood. Jay Hood Creative. He has his own YouTube show. I've been on his show a couple times.
Pretty good
I think he's even been on this show once or twice. He's been on Comic Gories. He's been around. This guy's been in the industry a long time.
Hi, Steve.
And we also have Steve Whiting. Stone Cold Steve in the house.
Hey, okay, King, brother.
And then if you're going to talk about that Death of Superman gimmicks, here's the Reign of Superman, which was when the 4 came out.
Oh, so that's so cool.
2 gimmicks. One die cut cover for the S symbol, and each one of the 4 titles had a different character, and then it also had a regular cover. Same issue, same book, just regular and die cut. So 2 gimmicks in 1 issue. Ha ha ha. But what do you got, comics on the mind? You want to show us some stuff, man?
Oh, sure. I just grabbed something. Speaking of those bags, I have. Ha! Here's that gimmick.
Oh yeah.
Sealed tightly. This comic book is going to be destroyed, apparently. And I think it still has a card in it too. So, but it's first issue. Come on now.
First issue collector's item.
Do you have all the trading cards?
No, I don't. I've been thinking about getting the trading cards, but I don't have any. But I think this would be we would consider this a gimmick. Those crazy crossover team ups. This was a really good one that I liked. I've wanted this one for a long time in my collection when I first started collecting, and I never had a chance to pick it up. And then I saw it at a flea market, and I grabbed it fast. So I think these were pretty cool. And you can't talk about the '90s and not talk about hollow foil covers. It's shining, baby. I was a sucker for these covers when I first started collecting. I found it Lady Fantastic. Here's that other foil cover with first appearance of Diamond Suit Spider-Man. This is another crazy gimmick back in the 90s, switching up the characters, their outfits and their whole appearance. This is not our Spidey. This is our Spidey. Those hollow foil covers. This is a classic hollow foil. I just got this one this week. That's Spider-Man, Todd McFarlane goodness. And then I really like these covers where you can like, they're like, what did you call them again, Rob?
3D embossed.
Yes, there we go. And they feel so cool. I'm trying not to mess it up, but it's like they're all filling on Eddie Brock's face, and I'm filling on their faces.
Fondling them comics.
And then what else do I have to show? Massive. I'm a big sucker. I've shown this book a lot of times for wraparound covers. So I'm always going to show some good wraparound cover goodness.
Nice.
What else?
On limb, right?
I always show this Force Works one. This is like one of my favorite teams. And this is definitely, come on, this is like 90s goodness.
Rick,
and it's
Ricardo, love that tackiness.
And then hold on, give me 1 second. There we go. There's like a post. I think it's a poster. It opens up and you can see. I haven't really seen what it looks like open, but I want to buy another copy and like actually like open it and see what it looks like. So that's what I got for wacky gimmicks.
Oh,
who else is next?
I can show a couple. So I have the regular edition and the platinum edition of this. They printed, I think, about 1 per 100 of the normal edition as the platinum retailer. I never wound up understanding how this came into my possession, but I'm pretty sure his name is Drummage, and he went to go work as a, how's the best way to put this? A mercenary for Blackwater, now called XP or XL. So he's now a programmer, and I got Platinum Edition Death of Superman. But this is one of my top things in my collection that I didn't realize what it was until Key Collector Comic Book app. And otherwise, I just thought this was just another book in my collection.
No, that's a cool book, man. I remember that being priced at like $600 in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Really? Jeez.
I mean, considering back in the day, people would have paid just about $200 for just a regular edition of issue 75. Because day of release, people are going to pay the most amount of money unless a movie or some big happens to make that spike happen again. Now, this is something that never spiked. I never expected to ever spike ever, because a couple things about this. Years ago when this came out, just as Miracleman pointed out towards the beginning of the show, they came out with a regular direct edition that included this little diamond, which I kept this in really nice condition for all these years. And it's really difficult to. The only way that you could have would be to put it at the very front of all your boxes, thrown a couple empty bags and boards in front just to absorb the impact of this, because otherwise, if you had more than just one, it would destroy every book that was behind it. So as much as I like the idea of this, I'm glad that at least the newsprint copies did not wind up looking so busted ass after all these years, because good luck trying to find one in decent condition. But X-Men, I guess this is how it made me say, you know what, I'm going to collect from issues 94 to 300, maybe cut off after 300. Why? Because at 300s, when it let me know they didn't care so much about Claremont anymore, they didn't care about the artists so more. What was that, Lady Fantastic?
Like, yeah, this shit's done. After about the 330s, it gets real poopy.
Ugh. So where would you recommend I kind of stop?
I would stop at 318.
318?
Yeah.
Well, I have some random ones that come up to about that. I mean, I have like the 305, 307, 311. The what is it?
I'll go to 318 because that's like the last. It's just stop there. Just trust me. But yeah, that's where I stopped, even though I'm still like, I still have some past that. That's like, I've reached my limit on that end. I'm not worried about it anymore.
For your own safety, stop there.
Yeah. And then like, I pick up in the 420s.
Well, that's right around X23 joining.
She's around 450s, I think.
Because I picked up somewhere right around 500, and that's when I picked back up again.
Yeah, so I would start around like 423, 422, 423. But
that shouldn't be too hard. It's just those first 2 issues with X23 that are like the $15, $20, and then the rest of them are.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like 450 or 451. It's something around. It's around the 450s. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's about all I remember from those issues at all. Otherwise, it's Chuck Austen crap.
Well, in the 500s, Matt Fraction gets in there. It gets pretty good.
Those are the good
Baker gets in there for a minute, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and that stuff's amazing. I love that X-Men run.
All right.
So a couple extras and I'll finish it off. So I know that Caroline, Lady Fantastic, has the 3rd print, so I'll jump over to her for that one. So this is when I remember as a kid reading Silver Surfer because my brother was reading it. He would get issue 34, 35, and it was just the next issue back then to the rest of us. But that was the beginning of the Infinity Crisis, the Infinity Gauntlet, the Infinity Everything. So once we finally got to issue 50, that's when the creators went, we got to go big. So they came up with this nice embossed cover, and this is one of the first ones that came out. And they even got so good at it that they went back to second print. Print. It was just a little bit more, they used black. That was the only difference between really the two, and just a little indicia. Otherwise, just about everything else was exactly the same. So let's jump on over to Lady Fantastic for that 3rd print.
It's not pink in the background. It's all black and white.
So that's like the difference just between the two there.
Mm. Oh, wow.
Oh, the lines. Yeah, the lines there. They're
pink.
I'm colorblind. I don't know.
Yeah, pink. Just saying.
Oh, we have Wolf Blitz in the house.
Wolf Blitz.
Oh, Wolf Blitz.
For those that don't know, earlier when I was showing all those X-Men comic books, that I wound up getting some of those comic books from him. And I'm going to jump back over to myself right after I show these X-Men right here. So these X-Men weren't some of the ones that I got from him. So I'm going to leave that for a little bit later. I'm going to jump over to my camera and I'm going to show you something that happened today. So I wound up getting some of those X-Men books from Mr. Wolf Blitz. So let me show you this. This is why when you send packages out, it's very important.
Oh my God.
Sure they come with a Gemini mailer, because my post office did not feel like putting it into the mail slot. So instead, this happened. Now imagine these are the books that I wound up getting from him specifically. I was trying to get these two. Now imagine when I wake up in the morning and I have Heather go, hey, Rob, you got a package outside. And I'm just going to kind of put it in there just lightly. You got a package outside, but I think the dog thought it was for her.
Oh,
what are you talking? Go open the door. Okay.
Why wouldn't you just grab
I cut out this part because that part is just who it was mailed to. I don't want anyone having my address. But this is how badly the other side was mauled.
Wow.
So I was looking in and I saw from the mailer that he wrapped it up so well that when I finally go to open it up, that he had it taped inside. There was protection around it. I bagged and boarded it. And you would not be able to tell that my dog decided it was a damn chew toy.
Dude,
so we're totally fine. But when you take a look at the side of this Gemini mailer,
that is rough. No pun intended.
this is the bag.
Oh
That's a crazy dog right there, man.
Oh.
So when I say I'm good with people, holding off on sending things.
Bye, Rob.
No, Rob is gone.
Welcome to the Not Near Mint show, minus Rob Worst.
And I dropped out.
There he is.
Yeah, I'm so hyperactive about this thing here. I go to click and I just, whoop, wrong way. So Gemini mailers, if you're going to send anything out, yeah, it's very, very, very important, and that's why. So let's see, who else has, we have Miracleman with some more of those covers.
It's got 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah, so I had the direct market. Has your little coin right there, your little gem, right there on the cover. Now mine's a little rougher looking because it has been kicked around in comic boxes over the years, so it's got a little bit of a rub to it, but it's still nice shape. And then here is your newsstand edition, no gem, nice and flat cover. The gem's kind of cool, but to your point, it's a nightmare for storage. Imagine being a comic shop stuck with like 10 or 15 extra copies of this. This would just been a pain, such a giant pain. But if we're going to talk about gimmick covers of the 90s, there's one company that has to come up. And listen, every publisher did big time gimmicks back in the day. But there's one publisher who stands out in my mind as the most gimmicky publisher ever. And I'm actually a fan. Valiant. So the original Valiant, for those of you who don't know, back in the day, Jim Shooter started up this little comic publishing company. And he started off, his first books were actually Nintendo comics. And if you find them, they're really not common. If you find any Nintendo books with Valiant or Voyager Communications, which was the parent company of Valiant at the time, as the publisher, they're only $1 or $2 or really expensive, grab them. They are big time collector books for some folks. But they decided they wanted to have a superhero universe. They went to Western Publishing because they had already had a deal with Western Publishing for distribution, and said, "Hey, Western Publishing, they published Gold Key comics back in the day." And they went to him and said, "Hey, listen, we'd like to take a couple of your superheroes and make a superhero universe. What do you say to that?" And Gold Key said, "We're not doing anything with them." So they leased them out. And Magnus #1 here is the first issue in this new superhero universe. Now, what they did, very first comic, was a gimmick. And it had inserted inside the first 8 issues were these trading cards, not perforated, and a coupon.
Oh, wow.
Now, the coupon, if you had, I'm sorry, it's not the first 8 issues. If you bought the first, it's first 8. If you bought the first 8 issues, cut the coupon out of every one of them, and mailed them in, they would give you Magnus #0, the prequel issue. So 9 times out of 10, you find these, and at least the coupon is missing. This was an unread and uncirculated copy, which is the only reason the coupon is still attached. But from the very beginning, Valiant was in on the gimmicks. And as Valiant grew, they did more and more gimmicks. This one was a gimmick with Image. Deathmate.
Oh, we remember this.
You remember this. Now, for those of you folks who weren't around, when these books were coming out, first of all, they were perpetually delayed. Some industry stories say that an editor from Valiant actually volunteered to go to Rob Liefeld's house and stand next to him in his studio as he finished pages. That's how far behind the Image input was, supposedly. But this is a gimmick by itself. First of all, it's a crossover between the two universes. It's also a chromium cover, and this was a multi-parts issue, a series between Image and Valiant. And it took just forever to come out. I think from issue 2 to 3, both of them have a cover date of October. It's just October a year apart. So here's your first issue. It's black. It's the black issue, and black issue actually is first appearance of Gen 13. This one's not very much of a gimmick. It's kind of a marbleized cover. But then you get to the next issue, which is the yellow issue. And then that's got a chromium cover. Then they did a blue issue. That's got a chromium background cover. And now here is a gimmick within a gimmick. Are you ready? This is the Deathmate red issue.
Whoa.
And you say to yourself, but Miracleman, that's not red. Don't you say that?
Rose gold.
It's gold. It's actually a gold cover because even though they're doing a chromium red, they also made limited edition gold versions of each and every one of these chromium covers.
Oh, wow.
So even though it might have been the yellow issue,
variants.
There was a right.
Jay Hood Creative saying Deathmate Red has been blamed for a role in the '90s crash.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and it's one of the ones that's well deserved. It's one of those issues that was incredibly delayed. Lee Feld cover right there. And listen, I'm not bashing the Image guys. They created something that is still around today and is a powerhouse in the industry and has put out some of the greatest comics ever. I'm not bashing them even in the slightest, but some of their team members did not have, we'll say, the most tight work ethic in the industry.
Or business sensibilities or any kind of business degree whatsoever.
There's that. They were artists. Most of them were artists, let's be honest. The founders of Image were primarily artists, and
how many artists are great business people?
I've never met one.
It's rare and few.
I've never met one. But there's the final issue of the Deathmate there. That's the epilogue, and one more. What's that?
Isn't there a Deathmate Black, the Gen 13 first appearance?
Yeah, that's the first one I showed. That's the first issue.
There you go. I'm just colorblind. Or it was a color for some reason.
And then I got two more Valiants to show, and then we can move on to Lady Fantastic if you'd like here. But as time went on,
real quick, we have Flashpoint Comics in the chat room. This is Michael Schmidt. We'll probably throw a link out in the chat a little bit later if anyone wants to show some of their books. But we're just going through right now for the first hour, showing all of ours. Otherwise, we do want to thank other people that have shown up in the chat room. We do have Southern Comic Geek. We have Jay Hood.
Oh.
He cut out?
And he's gone.
No! We got Southern Comic Geeks. We got Jay Hood, Flashpoint. I hope you're feeling better, brother. I know you
quit so damn often.
It's okay. We don't work with what we got.
All right, go ahead, Miracleman.
All right, so last two books here. Again, still Valiant. We're still touring the Valiant universe and their gimmick covers. And a little bit later in the show, I'm going to show you a couple of Valiant books that I don't unfortunately have, but Rob was able to scare up some internet stuff for us. But here we see, this is the peak when Valiant, let's just say the production quality took a hit. They're still doing a lot of these gimmicks. This is a probably one of the books that clogs the cheap bins in comic shops across America. Everybody had this book at the time. It's Magnus number 25. It's embossed, so it's raised, got a raised surface, and it's that foil cover there. And you think to yourself, man, that's ugly. Surely they didn't do anything that was even crazier than that. They did.
Ninjak.
So it's not just Ninjak they did this to, but they did these types of covers on a whole bunch of their books. And this is a pure chrome cover. Look at that.
Oh my gosh, even the back is chrome.
Look at that. They wrapped this sucker in a chrome piece of material.
We know what we're heating up the food with.
And in 1994, we're charging $3.50 a pop for them.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
What year was that?
94.
That's crazy. You're done, son. They thought, they were good. They thought they were like on top of the world, probably.
But they were, because you know what was happening. Valiant, Valiant itself is one of those companies, and I didn't collect Valiant at the time, because even then I recognized that now that it sank itself. I've gone back and I've been picking up the hero books from them, but Valiant was one of the companies that led to that speculator bubble bursting. Because Valiant was that company that the people I knew who bought Valiant back then didn't buy a single copy of any of the books. They bought 2, they bought 3, they bought 4 of the same book every time. Because Valiant was one of those companies that the speculators were thinking, 20 years from now, I'm going to be able to sell these for hundreds of dollars a piece. And which is one of the reasons why I have 8 copies of Turok Yearbook #1, and I've never once bought it.
Or Bloodshot #1.
Yeah.
Traded shit for that I don't even want to think about.
Right.
Hey, Lady Fantastic, do you have anything ready to go?
Oh, hey, yeah, I do.
Ooh, let's see them.
Let's just go. I want to go from a progression. So we've got just like the I guess it's the metal foil or whatever. So we've got, oh my God, what, here is a Hulk, right? Holy cow.
Great cover.
Here's an Iron Man,
Great cover.
They're everywhere. Here,
oh, yes.
A Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Everywhere. Here is the Silver Surfer once again. And let me just remind you of a very, very gimmicky time back when these were like the shit, and they were everywhere, and they're still everywhere, just in much cheaper bins, right? And then we're gonna go to kind of we're dabbling in the hologram area. Okay, we're getting a little wild, experimental, and we're going a little, hey, this is kind of fun. Oh, we're jumping to the chromium. You got your Generation X. You got Superman. And Kirk, I don't know if you're going to show your Spidey thing, but I'm just going to show the progression of the Spidey. So
go ahead. I only showed one, so go ahead.
Oh.
Okay, so you got this.
Real quick, Lady Fantastic, I don't know if you saw this. Flashpoint Comics bought 30 copies of Bloodshot that he spec'd on.
Wow, no way, brother. my homeboy had he had a box that he got from his grandmother of like 10 of those books and a bunch of Spawn #1s. She was also speculating.
Let's see the Spider-Man.
Then you've got
I love that.
Then you've got Planet of the Symbiotes. So there's just lots of iterations of that kind of gimmick. And hold on, does anyone else have more?
I just got one. It's like a set, but it's just like one.
Okay. Let me just show another little chunk, and then we can go to him. So here's a more progression of the hologram, right? But then, they start to get more intense with it. Here's some, woo, fun. But you then this whole thing, was a mind blower. You just couldn't get enough of that. This whole series of comics where you got this set of holograms. I'm not showing it very well, and I apologize for that. But
after about 30, almost 40 damn years, you cannot see that hologram anymore.
No, you can see it. It's just, I'm not doing a very good job. And, just hologram on hologram on hologram. And then this has got a thing that folds out into a dude on a fucking bicycle. Do you guys remember these stupid black covers? So that's a gimmick.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
So
Solar Man of the Atom 10.
And then we got some glow-in-the-dark goodness right here, Ghost Rider. We've got some glow-in-the-dark Superman here. And we've got some glow-in-the-dark Galactus stuff.
Nice.
You know, just to put the icing on the cake. So now you guys can...
you know, funny enough, can you pull that one Cyberspace 3000 back up for a second?
Yeah.
So years ago, that would have been like a $quarter bin type of goodness book. But because Galactus is on the cover, that is now something else that is anyone that's a Galactus fan, there's one of those books to get. And it's one that they printed so many of them, but you just can't find them anymore.
I think it's a Marvel UK, so I don't know what that means, but anyways.
Well, the true Marvel UK, that means it had a lower distribution footprint.
And then I guess, here we go. Just so the last couple of things. So as, I think it was Kirk that was talking about it, but just the crossovers. You know, things like Lobo the Duck.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dr. Strange Fate and Iron Lantern.
Man, I love Amalgam.
Yeah, so you've got the Spider Boy.
The Spider Boy team up, the one with the Legion and Galaxy, dude, that is probably one of the greatest.
This one, dude. This one's awesome.
Crazy.
And this is not all of them, but it's just an example of a crossover event. And then finally, the last gimmick. It's more subtle, but or subtler. You take a comic series that's maybe not the best, and you do B cover series that are absolute beautiful pieces of work. And I use Catwoman, the B series with Art Germ as an example of that. You know, I find that it's a gimmick, but it's not, it's like highbrow gimmick. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, yeah, this writing might be the greatest, but how are you going to not buy this cover? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, damn, this is not fair, but
it's not fair to cover A artists because we all have, well, I don't know if we all have them, but I do. I have all the issues, but it's all the B covers because who wants the A? This look that good.
Yes. All right. That's up with my gimmicks.
Yeah, I want Darkfall. I see Southern Comic Geek talking about.
I don't have one.
And really quick, we have Robert Sheridan that is joining us. He usually watches us on the replay. He is putting the kids to bed right now, but I do want to shout him out. He is somebody I know from Twitter. Good to see you, man. And I know that, actually, good question throwing over to Miracleman. What's going on with Twitter for you right now?
Yeah, I'm curious too.
Well, first of all, hey Robert, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us. Really glad to see you here.
Real quick, Lady Fantastic. Were you going to say something?
Sorry, I'm just popping out. You can make him big if you want. Not me. You can make a Robert. You can make a Miracleman big. Not me.
Oh, okay.
So what's going on is as of today, it's been 3 solid weeks.
Jeez.
And Twitter, I got tagged for something. I was somebody reported me falsely for something. And Twitter came and said, hey, you delete these 5 tweets because, we think you did something wrong here. The Twitter algorithm, the computer was fooled by a bad actor and says, hey, I want you to delete all these. This is what the Twitter computer comes back and the algorithm comes back and says. And I go, nah, I didn't do anything wrong. So I submitted an appeal. And now here we are 3 solid weeks later. And Twitter has not yet responded to my appeal. And the reason I submitted the appeal and didn't just delete the tweets is, this goes as a strike. If you just delete the tweets and get back into Twitter, and I see why people do it. Because if you don't do it, you're sitting for weeks on end waiting for them to respond to appeal. I can't access the account until they respond to the appeal. But I didn't do anything wrong, and I'm not willing to, hit that little delete button and say I did something wrong. When what's actually happening is there's a bad actor who's attacking a whole bunch of people on a thread. I'm not even going to bring up the situation because it's just filled with toxicity. But they've gone through there and they've systematically accused every single person who used a gender-specific pronoun as misgendering them. And they did it knowing they weren't being spoken to in those tweets, but they did it because it's an easy way to trick Twitter's junk algorithm. So that's why I'm not on Twitter right now. But I'll be back, and when I come back, I will set up a huge post that tells everybody all about it.
So check out for that once he's back on Twitter. We'll all let you know, or at least I will.
Oh,
I do technically, but I haven't used it since like senior year of high school or freshman year of college, technically.
Oh, harkening back to what Lady Fantastic was showing with those covers, here's one.
Ravage.
So that Ravage #1, back during the Black Friday auction that she held last year, the only time that I ever sold books publicly, I got rid of the one that was the regular cover because I had this newsstand. And even the newsstands were pretty good looking for back in the day. I mean, even some of those X-Men's that had the holo covers, the newsstand versions were just as good as the direct markets. Moving on to some of the other things that I have right here. Let's move that to the side. These X-Men covers. So this was the Virgin variant that had the gatefold, but if you weren't able to pick up this from the direct market, you could just go ahead and pick up, I don't know, 5 of the bastards with that one, and these 4. 1.
Connecting variants.
And they've been doing it ever since.
Yep.
3.
Over 1 million copies of that book sold.
You put one first, Rob.
I need one more to connect them all. Comic books.
Here's some more of those, and I don't even know what this was supposed to be.
A line conversion. I have a couple of them.
I mean, is this supposed to just be like computer stuff that just doesn't look very good?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, here you go. Robert Sheridan is going, because Flashpoint agrees. Twitter's stupid, and Robert Sheridan says, same thing happened to him, was banned for 30 days when he was defending trans rights. Keep fighting. Hope you're back soon.
Yeah, don't give up.
Thanks, Robert. Appreciate it, buddy.
So here's some others that I know that Miracleman has. It's the white copy.
Oh, yeah.
First print of Fantastic Four, and this is nice and crisp.
I've seen that in a while. I never got a chance to pick it up. That's cool.
I was given this and Solar Man of the Atom issue number 10 for my birthday by my parents years and years ago because they always knew to give me comics. And this one I just kept on reading because, hey, if they got me this one, keep reading some FF. And this hurts the eye to look.
Yeah, I have that one.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, don't have a seizure looking at this, but wow. Just wow.
Hey, you know that white cover you just showed, the second print's red, right?
Yeah, we were talking about that a few weeks ago about worst comic book covers.
That's right. We did have that one on that, though. That's right.
Yes, we did. So, there you go. There's both of those covers.
The red one too?
The same second print. Wow. Same book. This is, in my opinion, one of the worst covers of all time, just because they just don't pull it off. It's a cool concept.
Yeah.
But why would you have the Human Torch in all white? He's not the Ice Cream Man.
He's got Supernova.
He looks like he's made out of vanilla ice cream.
Okay, yeah.
The other one, someone just took a red Crayola and just covered all over it.
The red one is worse somehow, and I don't know how that's possible.
It is worse, yeah.
It is actually worse. I
think the white went over the red one.
Yeah, I mean, they're both freaking horrible covers. Like whatever editor fucking gave. I'm sorry. Not near Mynd is a show intended for people over the age of 18. Whatever fucking idiot gave the green light on this fucking cover setup, man. I have no idea. What editor was like, oh yeah, that'll sell?
So for the children at home, this is how you do this. You go into Photoshop, you go Control A or Apple A, you go and select the paint bucket, and you select it all in red, and you're done. You can go home now. Your job is done. Here's your second print cover.
Right. You know, and I'm not trying to bash. I'm going to look up who the editor is now because I might know somebody. An apology. I might follow him on Twitter. I don't know. No, it's Ralph Macchio. So I don't know. I don't follow that fucking guy. So whatever.
Ralph Macchio.
Yeah. Well,
not Karate Kid.
Not Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Not
different
Karate Kid.
Ralph Macchio.
Oh
right. Coincidentally, different name.
Yeah.
But like, I can see what they were going for here, but they should have done a contrast. Topps did this back in the day. I don't know how well that's going to. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
So that's Dracula versus Zorro, and it's the same concept. It's all black. It's not raised like the FF one is. It's matte and flat, and this is just gloss where there's an image. But just those two little points of color plus the title makes this such a better cover.
And even we have Southern Comic Geek saying that, well, not about the Vanilla Ice one, the previous comment, it should have been an orange cover instead of red. That would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
Vanilla Ice was pretty big back then.
I don't know if that's...
What do you get when you mix red? Oh, that's pink. I was going to be like...
Ooh.
This one I wanted to show real quick.
Cool
this
cover.
is from Malibu, a company that was bought out by Marvel in the 90s. And if you can't tell here, this comic has a bullet hole through it. See that?
That is so cool. I mean, how does it affect the story?
So I think it goes through the whole book, and I think initially the idea was that it was going to matter in each scene, but it really doesn't. And sometimes it's really...
This is came out back in 1993.
Mm-hmm.
This was a bullet hole die-cut cover. No poster, but it was bagged.
Yes. This, you know... I don't know what the deal with this one was. It seems like it was a cool concept. They might have could have done something better about it, but you know, that cover, if you're walking past a comic shop, new comic book day, here's the new books on Wednesday, and you walk past this book, you're buying this book, man. You know, that cover stands out. That bullet hole just looks cool. I didn't find it till years and years and years later. I just found it in a junk bin not too long ago.
And even Dave Enrique says that The Protectors was a decent read for the 90s. I did not read this, so I cannot support that comment because I don't know. But it looks cool.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? The cool thing about the Malibu universe was that a lot of a bunch of their big superhero team, not their Ultraverse, the Protectors universe. They had two different universes. Their Protectors universe was made up of heroes that were public domain characters, brought back into modern times, updated and renewed, and basically think like Project Superpowers from Dynamite a few years ago. Malibu was doing that 15 years before that, 20 years before that. They made a whole team out of these public domain heroes. One of them was that John A-Man, the Amazing Man, very famous, the Centaur Publications cover where the guy's tied up and he's biting the head off the snake on the cover. That's that character's in it, and a bunch of heroes that they brought forward. And the series were fun, but they did a lot of gimmicks.
So
they tried.
Miracleman. Here you go.
See this.
What you got?
Twinsies.
Twins. Yeah, nice.
Hey, Martin.
I love it. I don't know where mine is. I was looking for it.
The newsstand version came back, says Dave Enrique.
Oh, okay. That would make sense.
Also, joining us in the chat room, I'd like to say a special hi to Splash Page Comics, along with Mark Knapp. Hello, Dave Enrique, along with Ricky Ricardo Rodriguez Vacas. He now goes just by Ricardo Rodriguez, but we know you back from the early days. A few weeks ago. Simple Simon, good to have you in the chat room. Southern Comic Geek, glad to have you. Read more. I know he probably had to leave a little earlier, along with Robert. Yes, Sheridan. He was here. I'm going to remember it. Episode 34 is when it happened. Meanwhile, let's get back to some of the other covers that we have. I don't know. Comics on the mind. You have a couple more?
I have a couple. Back to that Spider-Man homage. I found my spawn.
There you go. Exactly.
Nice.
I found it. So there's one of those homage covers. What else? I don't know if this is 90s. Well, this is 90s, 96.
Yeah, it's 90s.
I don't know if you've ever seen this book before. I've never seen it. This is the weirdest crossover I've ever seen. But it's Iron Man and Exo Man.
Wow.
And look at
yeah, I got that.
it was like 25 cents. So
I believe those books came with action figures.
No way. Seriously?
Yeah, they put out a line of action figures, and they were this big package, like this hard blister pack was wrapped around the comic.
Really?
And yeah, and because Iron Man and Exo, they had this big push, but the figures look like Iron Man. There's a couple of different issues of this. I think you have one. Yours doesn't have Iron Man or Exo on it, does it?
In the background, it does.
Okay. So there's a copy where Iron Man is in the foreground, and then there's a copy with Exo in the foreground, I believe.
Interesting. I didn't know
and
that.
here's something. We were talking about this earlier. There's an issue of Exo Manowar. And as you can see here, this would be a $60 issue, but this is
that cover though.
One. And go ahead, Miracleman. What was the special about this?
So I'm kicking myself for not buying this book, but so everybody sees right around his mouth there's a box, right?
Yeah.
So that box was actually a QR code that you could use your scanner on your phone, put your phone over Exo's mouth with the Valiant app, and you would see his mouth start to move on the screen, and he would start talking.
That's so cool.
Now, I believe I have a promotional piece that still has that on it, but I don't have that issue. I bought a regular cover for some reason. I don't know what was wrong with me.
Southern Comic Geek says that Acclaim did it back when they originally bought Valiant Comics.
Acclaim QR codes didn't exist when Acclaim bought Valiant.
No?
No, those smartphones didn't exist.
Let's see. Let's click over. This came out back in May of 2012.
That's 2012.
So when did Acclaim buy them?
So it's a weird story for Valiant. I'm going to give you the fastest possible history lesson on Valiant real fast, okay? All right, here we go. 1990, Shooter begins publication. He starts making those Nintendo books. 1991 comes out with the first superhero book. Valiant, the comic book company, was run by Voyager Communications. That's the parent corporation. Valiant sells out to Acclaim sometime around 98 after Jim Shooter has been pushed out. Valiant is sold to Acclaim. Voyager sells their control of the company to Acclaim. Acclaim was making video games. They made the Turok video game back in the day. It was huge.
Yes, I love that game.
Acclaim tried to do a big push with the comics. ultimately, their debts in video games pulled them down, and Acclaim went under. That's the end of the Valiant universe. Fast forward 2010, that's sometime around 99, maybe late 98, early 99. They had done an event called Unity, which brought Jim Shooter back. They only got 3 of the 5 issues out, or 2 of the 4 issues. I forget what it was, but they never finished Unity. It was called Unity 2000. So fast forward now to 2010, 2 companies show up at SDCC, both claiming ownership of Valiant and their intellectual properties, minus all the Gold Key characters that reverted back to Western Publishing, which is Magnus, Turok, Solar, and that might have been it. Voyager Communications was done, Acclaim was done. Then you had Valiant Entertainment and Valiant Communications, and both claimed ownership to them. Fast forward 2 years, Valiant Entertainment wins out on the copyright, puts out this 2012 issue of Exo Manowar, and was a big push. It was huge. I have like the first 25 issues. It was a big push on it. But ultimately, I think if you've paid attention to Valiant in the last 8 years, you'll know exactly what the problem was. They decided to end all the books and start all over again, and then they decided to end all the books and start all over again.
I've done it so many times where I dropped off of everything. I stopped caring about the Valiant universe. Sorry, Valiant, but I liked it when you first started. But that relaunch, it dropped all my interest.
Right. So, Dave Enrique, that's pretty darn right there. So Valiant sold Voyager Communications, sold out to Voyager Communications, got characters from Western Publishing, Gold Key, to create a superhero universe that was the Valiant universe, owned it for about 7 years, till it went under, sold it to Acclaim. Acclaim ran it for a couple of years till they went under. And then it ended up in bankruptcy court for for the new Valiant Entertainment. And that's why we have them back today. Somebody bought them in bankruptcy court. So, sorry, that was not quick, and it was rambling.
It was educational for me.
Yeah, we're all learning something. We learn something new every day. Like I learned that this cat right here, the reason why it was losing so much weight was because it's being bullied by that black cat that I posted earlier today. When I'm telling you about, hey, there's a new show coming up, and this is the black cat. So that black cat's bullying this cat. So this is my cat's safe space, this comic book world.
So other comic gimmicks, I had a couple more on the show. There's, how about the ash cans back in the day, man?
Oh, I have a couple of those here. Do you want me to go through a couple more books?
Yeah, I got a couple right there. If you got a couple you want to show up.
Let me get this tail out of my face. And other camera. So as I was counting down some of these, this is the first glow-in-the-dark cover, and you can see that it will glow in the dark when I go ahead and shut off all the lights. I mean, you can't really see it that well in the dark. Actually, can't see it at all. You're supposed to like it and anyone at home, you're just seeing a black light. No, I'm going to turn it back.
This is riveting.
Yeah.
If we don't get an Emmy for this.
Okay, let's start with this cover.
Oh, Rob,
no.
To the punch, dude.
That's still black, bro.
That's
so black.
This is the type of high quality content people subscribe to this channel for.
Don't quite work several years later. Big surprise. So moving on from those glow in the dark supposed covers, back in the day we were thinking that, oh my God, they're gonna kill Oliver Queen. Oliver Queen is gonna die, and it's gonna happen in issue 100. Why? Because they made this cover so cool looking. So cool looking that the cat just has to get at it. Oh my God, cat! Really? No, kitty.
If you remember, at the time they didn't think he was gonna die. They thought it was gonna be Dark Knight.
Oh,
remember that?
Yeah. Oh, here you go. You have a Flashpoint going. I have 50 copies.
Jesus.
Yeah, he was.
I didn't know Green Arrow.
Green Arrow was strapped into a bomb with his arm, and Superman shows up, and he's like, "I got to get you out of here." And he's like, "You can't get me out of here. My arm's in here." And it cuts to Superman's face, looking all sad, and he's like, "No, you're not going to do that." Everybody thought this is it. He's gonna laser beam off his arm, and the Dark Knight Returns is going to be, the future of. But that lasted a month, and then the next issue came out, and he was fucking dead, and that didn't matter. But that's what everybody thought.
It was supposed to happen in this issue, and then it didn't quite happen, and then pick up the very beginning of the new issue, and the plane went down, and he's going, oops, can't save them all. Sometimes you just have to leave those hard-to-reach chips go.
Nice reference.
Moving on with some of those chaos books you were talking about earlier, these were the ones that I really thought that started changing the mold, because why do it through the whole cover? We can just do it a little bit of the cover. Or you can make parts of the cover glow in the dark. You don't have to make the whole thing. They started getting more nuanced. So nuanced that I don't know. I love the materials that she's wearing. Is it lace? Is it Velcro? Is it felt? Oh, wait. No, it is felt right here. And then we have the chromium stuff. Yeah, that joke died. So, yeah, the Lady Death chromium stuff is when I really started taking notice of all the chromium, because, hey, white-haired woman with large tracts of land. And chromium, yeah, we're sold as little 13, 14, 15-year-old boys. Much to the point that you picked up the rest of this kind of stuff, and you don't know why you have it anymore. I don't even know what was that?
Chaos, specifically with Lady Death, knew exactly who their fan base was.
Oh, yes. Teenage boys.
Yeah, and Polito still knocking it out of the park to this day.
He raised in about 10 minutes over $1 million.
Listen,
another felt cover.
You can't read those Chaos characters without Polito, man. If you like those Chaos characters, he is literally the only person you want to read them from.
It would be like watching a Freddy Krueger movie without Robert Englund.
Yeah, that people tried that and that bombed.
Yeah, it did. Now, here's one of these Ashcan editions where not just Ashcan, but this is for the pit. This is an embossed cover Ashcan edition. It is small. It is tiny. It is hard to keep in decent condition. And I don't know how I wound up getting a hold of this. I think this might have been in the back of a Wizard, or maybe it was in the back of another magazine that came out back in the day, because a lot of these Ashcans, they were either really easy to find, or you'd have to go hunting for them, and you might as well go hunting for a Velociraptor for as good as it'll do you.
The pit one came out with Hero. Remember Hero magazine?
Oh, you mean this. Now it makes sense why I have this.
Yep, there she is. I got that issue.
And this is another one. This is a gimmick cover, because this has some raised areas on the cover. But that was back in the day.
Was that Dr. Mirage? Is that who that was?
That was Dr. Mirage. And here's another one back in the day. This is the white copy that was given away at conventions that doesn't have a price in it. And I was just a huge fan of Sam Keith's artwork, because I just love the way he drew women. I mean, look at how hot that is. If you're like a 13-year-old boy, I don't know how much I should reveal about myself here. So moving on. I was a big fan, still am, of the Max. There's only a few more issues that I'm missing, but this is another one that wound up coming into my, I don't know how I have it, but I have it, and I'm all the better for it. I think this also came from Drummage, that went to go work as a contractor for a military company. So you can see that when it came to variant covers, sometimes they really didn't put in all that much work. All you have to do is go into Photoshop and take out all the red and just make it white. Not difficult. Oh, Flashpoint wants to join. So if everyone's okay, should I go ahead and drop the link in the chat?
Go ahead, Flashpoint.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so I move these off to the side here. I just want to make sure nothing starts falling over and dinging corners. So let's go ahead and invite him. I'll throw this link into the chat. And if anyone wants to show some books, go right ahead. All you have to do is just make sure that your internet is working. Of course, it would have to if you're watching us. And on top of that, just make sure that your webcam's working and you have some kind of audio connection. Otherwise, the stream is right there. He's connecting right now. So as he's doing that, I'll show the last couple of these because I want to have everybody have enough time to show some stuff. So after we start getting into the 2000s, that's when the covers start getting a lot more nuanced. So Lock and Key, this is the first issue that came out. It's a somewhat embossed cover. It's very nuanced. You can feel the raised embossedness of the key. There's a sheen to it, especially when it comes to the titles. They did it for every issue. And this was written by the guy that is essentially, well, he's Stephen King's son. So back in the day, they did not hype that fact. They just released it as, hey, this is a new horror title. You should pick it up. And I did from the beginning. Now, moving on to some other more nuanced books. They came out with the first edition, and then they would commission a whole second printing. So the second printing, I just picked this up back in the day because, hey, it's Jim Lee. I didn't think that this would become like some major key book that would blow up. And later on down the line, that happened all over again with Captain Marvel number 17, where the second print had the very first appearance of Kamala Khan as Ms. Marvel. Up until that point, you really didn't have many of these, hey, the first appearance is on a cover, even though she doesn't appear inside, like they did with the Howard the Duck issue 0 with the first Gwenpool. And I think that Flashpoint is still trying to work with his camera, so I'll finish this out here. So moving on, this is when they went, okay, we don't want to have to commission anything extra. We just want to go ahead and say, well, we have this issue. It costs so much money to just use Jim Lee new artwork. How about we just drop the color? That's a great idea. And everybody started doing it. This is pretty much where it started. And everybody did it from here on out. But I come to find I liked all those black and white covers that came out subsequently. I preferred the black and white covers to many of the colored versions. And as I finish out that one right here, I'm going to go ahead and add Flashpoint Comics to the chat.
Sorry, I got to use my phone. My laptop charger broke, so I got to use my phone for the time being.
Hey there, Flashpoint. How you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Doing well, doing well.
Well, while you're syncing all that up, Lady Fantastic, do you have any? Do you have a couple more issues back there?
I just had a couple that I thought I'd show. This one's just kind of an epic to me. This is Star Trek and X-Men, and I want to say Scott Lobdell was writing on this. So. Yeah, and also, kind of gimmicky was always the Christmas, the Christmas specials and stuff.
Oh yeah,
they're a bit gimmicky, but I would be a liar to say that some of them aren't like super fun. So, gimmicks aren't necessarily a bad thing. Now look, this shit right here, robbing real estate for art, that's bad.
Yeah.
But,
cut off from the bottom of the art.
What's that?
I just have to be curious how much they cut off at the bottom of the artwork there, because that they'd have to drop down that art, so they'd have to cut off about that much.
Oh, it just gets me all grumpy. I don't want to think about it. Especially on my X-Men comics. That's one thing. Like these dudes, I can't. It makes me so irritable.
Yeah.
I need more, you assholes. I need more.
Didn't DC do something similar like that too?
What's that?
Didn't DC do something similar to that?
I'm sure.
Superman movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Superman movie.
Yeah.
That's what it was. They had a banner. They had a banner for the Superman movie, and I don't think I have any of them here.
Wow.
And then for Superman 2, they actually did the same type of sweepstakes, but that was internal ad. That was inside the book.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't take the cover.
Oh, nice.
See, you know, these are the gimmicks. Like, see, you know, and I think all of like the whole Dark Knight's Metal series. It's my favorite. So I'm a huge DC guy. Don't really care much for Marvel, but I love that. This is definitely a gimmicky kind of thing, and I just love it so much because, you know, obviously the Flash is my favorite character. So I mean, like, what if Flash, like Batman, became the Flash? It's just so cool to see like all the different, you know, like, oh, what if, you know, the Batman. You know, like all of these like foil covers that they did. Well, that's Death of Hawkman. What else? Sorry, I got a whole stack of books here. You know, just like all the way what they did with Batman. I just really enjoy it. You know, the Murder Machine. That was
cool.
Yeah.
Wow. See, I slept on. I got issue number 1. That was it.
It was so good, you know.
You'll have a chance because there's Metal 2 coming out.
I was just about to say they have like the heavy metal thing coming out, right? Or
it's gonna be Metal 2.
I'm gonna order every variant that I can.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I did that with the because one of the gimmicks for me is like connecting.
Let's take a look and see what Lady Fantastic has there.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, the things like this, the crossovers, and you know, like Iron Lantern. That shit's rad. It's fun.
You know, really quick, that Thorion. There is your 2 weird Kirby concepts from both universe being mashed together into one story. That was the only one I didn't get at the time when it was coming out. I don't know how I missed it because I got every other amalgam that came out, and I didn't find it until just recently.
Well, I'm glad you got it.
And it's just a glorious story. And if you're a Kirby fan, you need that book in your collection, even though Jack didn't touch anything on it. Really? You need that book in your collection. Absolutely. If you like Jack Kirby, you need that book.
Lore, basically.
Is this like homage to him, or
it's Kirby's Thor with Kirby's. So it's Kirby's Thor creations mashed into his New Gods creations,
like Orion and all them.
Right. So it's Thor and Orion. It's the Black Racer and I forget. It's basically just taking two characters, one from DC, one from Marvel, and putting them together, and it's using those 2 concepts. And really, all the New Gods was Thor in space.
Oh,
I mean, really, it's you know, it was Thor in space. That's what it was.
Thor in space.
Right.
Just saw a comment come up from Read More Comics. I'm just waiting for it. There it is to populate. Did anyone mention the latest modern gimmick cover? All the damn Immortal Hulk reprints, especially that one.
Those Immortal Hulk like face variants.
That one specifically, where it was this incentive cover. Then they did a reprint. They changed the contrast. They changed a little bit of the color, and then released it as a reprint 1 in 10.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah.
The Dynamite did something like that with their Project Superheroes line, where they would release incentive covers that were like negative versions of the regular cover. And it was like, you know, a 25 copy or a 30 copy, incentive. And who the hell's buying 30 copies of any Diamond book, even with Alec Ross on covers? You know, it's not selling a lot. Which one was that? Flashpoint.
Is that Wally?
Oh, dude, that's a beauty right there. I got a real good buddy of mine, huge Flash fan. I actually sold him my Flash 123 I had a couple years ago.
Stay Puft.
Stay Puft. What's up, Sean?
He would. You want to see a Flash collection? This guy's got. He doesn't have a showcase 4 yet, but that's about the only thing he doesn't have in his run.
Oh, do you know who does have one?
Who was that?
Him.
You do?
Mine's rated a 7.5. Yeah.
Shut the front door, dude.
So how did you come about having a showcase number 4? Actually, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, because we know that, or at least I know that you have basically inherited a comic book store from your grandfather. You have multiple runs of The Flash. You have all this stuffed in a warehouse with an old expensive car. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Flashpoint.
So basically, I've been collecting comics since I was 5. The Flash has been always been my favorite hero. Flash 139 was my first comic book from my grandpa. So I still have that. Basically, I've always been collecting. Joined the military. Kind of stopped collecting for a few years. So I've been going through this my storage unit, and I've been trading books. So how I ended up at the showcase was my grandpa originally had 10 of them because he stockpiled them. Well, I sent 5 off to get graded, and they were all about a 1.5 to 2. So I sold all of them, bought the 7.5, and then I actually just picked up the showcase 13, 14, and 15 on a huge good deal. And I'm looking on trading. Anyone's looking for a Green Lantern book, I've got the first appearance of Hal Jordan as a Green Lantern. Looking to get rid of that so I can get my Flash number 1. So I mean, I've collected a lot of different things. So
I don't show my face, but I'm making the same face as Rob, just so you know.
Yeah, I just got lucky, I've always had a love for comic books, heroes. I just like the Flash the best. I know a lot of people give me crap about it in every community I join, all the different stuff, but
you're not going to get crap from us here.
You know what's funny? I started watching the TV show The Flash, and I've been falling in love with the character. Like, oh my gosh, it's so good.
And the TV show, so after, I don't know where you are at in the TV show. I don't know if you're at season 2 yet. I mean, spoilers ahead.
I'm almost on season 2. I saw Firestorm. That's where I'm at.
Okay. Well, see, so basically when you get into season 2, when it starts talking about Zoom, because the real Flash fans know that the Reverse Flash is the real, because you have the Reverse Flash, then you have Zoom. Yep. So, I mean, anyways, Rob, actually, we can talk about this later. I'm sorry. I don't want to take over your podcast.
We're all comic book nerds here. That's why I saw earlier in the day that you wanted the link, but we always start off the show just showing everything that we have, and then we open it up to other people. And we're trying to stick with the gimmicks, but we always want to know about the community, others that are part of the community. So we invite people on, and we know that you've been going through a harrowing experience over the last few weeks. I don't know how many people are aware, but Michael here, Flashpoint Comics, is one of those people that came down with the virus.
Oh, man.
So seeing him now before us is something that I'm just very, very, from the bottom of my heart, I'm so glad to see that you've gotten better.
Yeah, it was rough last week.
Wow. So glad to see you're okay, man. That's whew. You would be the first person I've met that had it.
Yeah. First person I've seen.
Yeah, first person I know, yeah.
Yeah, back when it was on Big Show, that was when it became real to a lot of people in the community. Yeah. It was something on the TV that we saw at home, something on the news, and then all of a sudden we hear in Jig's second broadcast.
That's when I heard it, yeah.
And that's when you came out and told us. And it became very real.
Like, oh my gosh. Oh, wow.
Oh, here you go. Let's blow that up.
See, so I don't like the Green Lantern, and I felt like this whole thing was pretty gimmicky. I don't know. I feel like, so the one thing, my whole complaint about the Flash is I wish they would have made, so after watching the TV show, I really wish they would have done something better with the Reverse Flash. I feel like a lot of the Reverse Flash comics, like the covers are really gimmicky and stuff like that as well.
I'm actually, go ahead, Miracleman.
So I'm a bit of a Flash fan myself. Definitely not as hardcore as you, man. That's impressive. But I hear what you're saying. They took a lot of the storylines that were like, they pushed Zoom and Reverse Flash kind of into the same character, and took some of the story arcs from both characters, which is a shame. I think they thought Zoom and Reverse Flash would have been too confusing.
Yeah.
You know, it's the only thing I can guess. Anyway,
well, because it is though, like realistically, like if you're just getting into the Flash, not even just the TV show, just the books in general, it's super confusing because you're like, oh wait, the only difference between Zoom and Reverse Flash in the comic books is, I think if I remember correctly, Zoom has the red eyes and then the Reverse Flash doesn't.
Right.
So it's the same costume and everything else. So you're like, oh wait, because the death of the Reverse Flash, when he gets killed. And you're like, well, where did Zoom come from? I just wish, if you haven't read or anyone wants a good read from DC, the Flash Forward miniseries. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find my cover of it real quick.
Yeah, because I'm not a DC person, but I have been getting into the Flash, and I'm definitely
Johns and Van Sciver's, and I'm going to say his name, Jeff Johns and Ethan Van Sciver did Flash Rebirth. What's that?
It was spot on. I mean, for a guy,
incredible.
For Sciver, whatever it is. All right, so Friedrich Nietzsche probably put it best. A man can be a very poor man, but a great artist, and a person can be a great man, but a very poor artist. He falls in the former more than the latter. But I love his artwork, and his artwork was spot on during Flash Rebirth, his Green Lantern Rebirth.
Yep.
And he was great, still is, but I just wish he didn't have.
See, everyone says that the story of the Flash Rebirth is terrible, but it's one of my favorites. And actually,
that story.
I didn't.
When does Flashpoint pop in? I know, ironically enough, when does that story pop? I want to read that story. I've heard a lot of
that's like midway through Jeff Johns' run.
Okay.
Flash.
I'm going to jump on his
Flash. Midway through Green Lantern, because Green Lantern, just like Batman, was one of the few that after Flashpoint still kind of kept going in the same sort of vein. Batman, they kind of still brought back a few years so that they would show all that Court of Owl stuff. But meanwhile, Jeff Johns' Green Lantern, it's like Swamp Thing. It didn't miss a beat. It just kept going. It didn't even pretend that Flashpoint really happened.
The only Green Lantern I've really read is the Blackest Night.
So this story right here, Flash Forward, the 6th. This is my favorite. This is my favorite story of this year, because so far, anyways. Because I feel like they're expanding, and I love all of what DC has done with the rebirths. Because City of Bane. Like, if you guys have not read City of Bane, City of Bane takes from Flashpoint because
really,
yeah. Well, and again, I don't want to spoil it too bad. But
well, I wanted to, because people talk mess about Tom King's Batman, but I wanted to read that run of Bane City or City of Bane. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, and they bring it back from the Flashpoint, because in Flashpoint, I mean, I'm going to spoil a little bit.
Go ahead.
So the whole Flashpoint, it's Thomas Wayne. So Bruce Wayne's dad is Batman, because instead of him and Martha getting killed, he did. And so Martha becomes the Joker, and then Thomas becomes the Batman. So City of Bane is, I can't remember the whole plot because I've been reading so many comic books in the last few weeks. I've been getting everything mixed up. But in the City of Bane, Thomas Wayne basically works with Bane to make it so Bruce, it's this whole emotional clusterfuck of awesomeness, because you're Thomas Wayne is the villain, but he's actually trying to do good by Bruce by making him not be Batman. It's freaking awesome. Well, the Flash Forward, this thing, it's awesome because, I don't know if a lot of you guys are huge DC, know about the Mobius chair and how powerful the Mobius chair is in DC Universe. Well, Wally West, as much as he's not my favorite Flash, Wally West is the fastest Flash alive, and I can't argue that, as much as I hate to admit it. I'm a Barry Allen fan and a Jay Garrick fan. That's where my love goes to. But Wally West is the fastest Flash, and they just fused him with the Mobius chair, and through the rebirth and everything else they've done, I'm so excited to see what they do with the Flash as a whole.
Yeah.
It was because Miracleman that I got that issue there. I only had the first issue of Flash Forward, which I did not like. I did not bother picking up the second issue. But to be fair, I have 89 issues of Flash that I have not read. But he told me, no, pick up this last issue because Wally West sits in the Mobius chair. I'm like, okay, so, oh, wait a second. Didn't Batman? And that's how we learned about the three Jokers, which means, oh, shit. Yeah, I should pick that up. That's probably the most important book to come out this year.
Yep. Well, and the thing with the Flash Forward series, it was really dry. The first, like, I have all 6. I have all of the covers. I've got multiple copies of each, but it was really dry the first few books. The first few were pretty bad. Like the third book was okay when they did like the Vampire Justice League was all right, but it was a pretty dry series up until 6.
I'm a big DC guy in general. Half my collection is DC. That I dug that Flash Forward series only because it was pulling out all of those characters from Morrison's Multiversity, which we really haven't got to see very much since he finished that up. Yeah. We got little peaks here and there, but that's all sitting there waiting, and I think a lot of that's been waiting until they got things aligned with 5G that's coming up. Hopefully still.
Dude, 5G is terrible. If they really go through with this and they change the Flash and it's not Wally West or Barry, then I'm done. Like, I won't continue reading DC.
Well, the concept that I'd heard with this, not to get off on a rant on it, but because trust me, I have some very powerful, passionate feelings about DC characters in general. But from what I understand, the concept is to give books for all of these characters at every level that fans love. So they didn't want to be. They're trying to get away from being trapped by every book's in the same shared universe. At the end of Doomsday Clock, it's been long enough. I can talk about this. So, at the end of Doomsday Clock, they have Earth 1985 gets revealed. Yep. Which you're a DC guy, and that's the concept that has me most excited. That's going to be the pre-crisis DC universe. Is going to be is they're saying it exists. They gave the reveal about Thor and Hulk, which was cool, but honestly, Earth 1985 had me literally like jumping in place. And
I think I had my 1985 series by Mark Millar up here.
Well, so Secret Wars does beat out. They're both started in 85. It does beat out Crisis by like 6 or 8 months or something. Not that Secret Wars is anywhere near the story Crisis on Infinite. Nothing against Secret Wars for the Marvel fans, but it's nowhere near the story. That Crisis is.
Dude, you know what? I'm throwing lots of shade at the Marvel fans. Crisis on Infinite Earth is a million times better than Secret Wars. There's nothing that can change my mind about that.
Oh, infinitely better. Infinitely better. It's literally like, and here's the thing. I'm gonna say this the nicest way possible.
Keep it real.
I'm gonna keep it real. The Marvel Secret Wars is like a 2016 Kia Soul. Not a bad car. It's a decent car, right? It's zippy. It's got a good sound system. It kind of looks like a box, but hey, it's a good car. Crisis on Infinite Earths is literally like a 2021 Lincoln Continental. Like, it's literally, you got like feet warmers and ass warmers and hand warmers and
give me that book. Sorry.
There's just no comparison between the two. Oh, that's nice. That's pretty. That's not a gimmick, but that's cool.
No, I'm not showing gimmicks now. Well, I'm kind of doing gimmicks.
Hey, Flashpoint. Oh, did we lose Flashpoint?
No.
Flashpoint.
He's going through his house.
Focus on to get to the big boys.
Ooh.
Nice. Oh, I love that cover. I have that one.
The Loading Heads feature word out. Second appearance, Black Panther.
I know. I want that. I still have it on my watch list on eBay. I just can't buy it.
Isn't that also the first appearance of Adamantium?
I know it's the first appearance of Claw, right?
Oh.
This one is?
What's up, Hylia?
This one's the first appearance of Adamantium or Vibranium?
Vibranium, maybe. Let's take a look at what Flashpoints do.
Sorry, I was just grabbing it. These are all my new slabs. I just got back from
Show it.
I have that raw.
Show us. Yeah, we raw.
I was grabbing. I just got. So this is mission that I got back today. So I got another.
Wow.
Holy cow!
Jeez, dude.
So talking
I see some
about
fantastic
covers,
goodness.
I did get that one of those 4P, the connecting covers. I got that great.
I need one more left.
So I got another one of these graded.
Ooh.
Wow, no way.
No, Patrick Wall had it right. It was Wakandan Vibranium.
Okay.
Oh, and Splash on 25.
Yeah.
I need that cover. I have issue number 2, but I need that one.
Dude, I remember that Venom was like clogging up the cheap bins, dude.
And Chad RCG wants to let us know that he reported this stream as offensive after he compared Secret Wars to a Kia.
Listen, I was being generous. I was being generous with the Kia Soul.
I'm sorry.
I love my issue
Soul
number
is
1.
giving it credit. I'd compare it to like a Toyota Prius or something like that. That's like the worst car imaginable.
No.
Like I'm a car guy, and you're gonna tell me like Kia Soul is giving Secret Wars too much credit.
Here's the thing. For you Marvel heads, Contest of Champions, way more enjoyable miniseries than Secret Wars. Way more enjoyable. I will read a Contest of Champions, those 3 issues, 10 times over Secret Wars any day of the week. And I'm not saying Secret Wars is bad. I'm saying it's decent and dependable. Nice.
I'm going to tell you a secret. I've never actually read Crisis on Infinite Earths or Secret Wars. So
we can't be friends, Rob.
I am now reporting this channel as offensive.
I will read both of those so I can give you a better in-depth analysis. So this way I won't go, well, yeah, I like what I know about it, but otherwise I've never actually read it.
I've only read the copies that I have, and I only have issue 1 of Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Nice.
He's a hero. I used to love that show. The power is yours.
Hey, y'all, did you guys know what Contest of Champions came from, speaking of?
No.
So Contest of Champions, it was a 3-issue miniseries, had all the Marvel characters in it. 2 years before that, they had the 1978 Winter Olympics, and Marvel had an oversized tabloid edition for the Winter Olympics that had the superheroes go to it. And in the back of that book, of that tabloid, which unfortunately I don't have that one, but in the back of that tabloid, there's an advertisement for the Summer Olympics version that's going to come out in 2 years. And then due to licensing arguments, Marvel said, to heck with you, pulled the story and turned it into Contest of Champions.
Yep.
Wow. When was the first appearance of the Champions?
Champions?
Or
the Champions would be in Contest of Champions.
Yeah. I know it's a cover with Ben Grimm with his gloves on. Is that the first issue or?
Yes, I have that right here. Hold on.
That's Thing.
Thing has, I said Ben Grimm, didn't I?
Who's asking about this?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
This is the first appearance of the Champion, just the Champion, where he fights against the Thing, and he just cleans the floor with the Thing.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point where the Thing just keeps standing back up, and he goes, hey, you might keep kicking my ass, but I'll just keep getting back up. And the Champion goes, you know what? Yeah. You are a champion. There is no way that even if I keep beating your ass, that you will not stop coming for me. You're a good champion, and I'm gonna give this to Earth. But yeah, I need to pick myself up some champions now.
So I just want to say the best part of that came out of the Marvel Secret Wars was the black suit of Spider-Man. That's the only thing that was worth value in that entire Secret Wars run.
Hey, that cover. There's two badass covers. The one where the Hulk is holding up the mountain.
Yes, that was a great cover.
The Doctor Doom, where his suit's all
ripped up,
wrecked.
He gets the Beyond His Powers.
Yeah, I think that's after he has them.
Okay.
That's why his suit's wrecked.
See, the covers are great. I mean, they made great covers. Now I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna just argue that fact. Like Marvel makes some great covers, but their heroes are trash. Like I hate Thor. So let me go find my box. So I've got a whole run of like old Thor books that I'm about willing to give away because I think Thor is
right here.
Yeah. So
me and her. Her.
Oh my god.
So just like
now, here's the thing, though. Before Chris Hemsworth played him, nobody cared about Thor.
Okay,
nobody cared.
Like,
I like Jason Aaron.
Lady Fantastic has something to say.
I want to interject. I did not give a shit about Thor until I read Jason Aaron's Thor: God of Thunder.
Right.
And then my life changed. Thor became.
Dude, that was a terrible series.
Oh my god.
That was a terrible.
We about to put the gloves on.
So you know what? The best Thor series ever written is the new Thor series. Donny Cates Thor is way better than any Thor that has ever been written. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
The Thors.
Listen,
I have read all of the older Thors. I have read some of the newer stuff. I read part of the
Walt Simonson.
What is it? Yeah, I don't keep track of Thor that much, but I just know that the Donny Cates Thor run is the best Thor run that I've read.
No,
I
you're
have
just
every
3
copy
books
of that.
in. You're 3-4 books in.
Hey, listen.
He also said he has issue number 5 because his comic shop over in Ohio wound up getting early copies from the week that was going to be the dead week that Diamond didn't have any more books, but his shop wound up getting a few.
That's awesome.
Oh wow.
Listen, I'm gonna say this for Flashpoint here, and this is not going to be a popular thing. Like somebody reported this channel. You're about to really report this. I did not care for Simonson's Thor at all. I find it almost illegibly unreadable. It's like reading. I don't even know what to compare. You know what it's like reading? When I try to read Thor, I feel like I'm trying to read Beowulf untranslated. Like the original, like you ever take an advanced English class? And
I like that shit.
No, I'm not saying I didn't like it. I just couldn't read
before or after the movie.
What's
Does
that?
anybody know that?
Did Aaron come out with Thor? So I think that came out in 2001 and 2002. The God of Thunder.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not exactly sure when the Thor movie, the first one, came out.
Is that the one post Civil War when he came back to life?
Who did that? God of Thunder.
Was that God of Thunder?
I'm
all of God of Thunder.
God of Thunder is the one.
Reading Thor is like trying to read Spider-Man. It's all garbage.
Oh, also the Jane Foster Thor was the shit.
2000. Okay, so 2007, Straczynski wrote it. I liked Thor in 2007 because that's when he came back from after Civil War and came back to life.
But when was
They had to relocate all of Valhalla because it was destroyed during Siege.
Aaron.
Well, that series ends with
Thor.
Siege, doesn't it?
What?
Doesn't the Straczynski Thor end with Siege?
What do you got there coming from? Oh, hello.
Yeah.
There's some Thor.
Oh. And
That's nice.
Ragnarok.
That's the cool cover.
Yeah.
Was that Mangog?
I think so.
Man, Mangog is the one character that if Odin winds up seeing Mangog, he goes, "Oh shit, run!"
Run, everybody! Hey, but Jane Foster, she whooped his ass.
Oh, I'm wrong. Sorry, I'm incorrect. It's not 2001, 2002. It's 2012.
Oh yeah, so That's after the movie started then.
Yeah. Well,
Did he? Eric Spider's asking, did he garble Spider-Man as garbage?
Yes, Spider-Man is garbage. No one will change my mind. Spider-Man is complete trash.
Hard agree.
He's vanilla. I'll put it that way.
I'm going to kind of agree. Soft
Never understood what anybody has ever enjoyed about Spider-Man. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Like Iron Man, you know what? People give me crap about loving like Namor the Submariner.
I like Namor.
That is my favorite Marvel comic, like favorite Marvel superhero, the Submariner.
Well, I like him. Yeah, I like Silver Submariner.
Dude, did you ever read the Squadron Supreme?
I think so. I can't remember, but it sounds familiar.
It's basically the Justice League in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
I Submariner had like the triangle-like looking skull.
Oh yeah.
Why did his skull look like a carrot top?
Who?
Namor. For like back in the 30s and 40s,
real hard.
His chin would be just a giant V, and his head.
They tried to Vulcan his ass out.
Yeah. Well, that was in like the 30s and 40s, and I think they thought that made him look like he was Atlantean. You know what I mean? I think he's a fish man.
Yeah.
Part fish man.
Yeah, when did they find out that he was actually a mutant, part mutant too?
That's a retcon, man. They retcon that in and like.
And I was confused about that.
Another example of gimmicks, right?
Yeah. What was that? 80s? They retcon that in.
Yep.
And that was like a post retcon. Like they brought him back and they had him for a while because he was gone for a while, and then they brought him back and they had him for a while, and then they're like, oh yeah, when he was gone, we figured this out.
Yeah, most of the Namor that I've read was like Tales of Astonished Namor.
Yeah.
Have you ever read Roger Stern's run on Spider-Man, the 80s Spider-Man?
No.
Trash.
Man, you're gonna lose me viewers.
Hey,
dropping subs like crazy. I might as well have.
If you're a Barry Allen fan and you don't like Marvel, have you ever read Quasar?
I have read Quasar.
Said that Matt Fraction's run on Uncanny X-Men is which established him as being a mutant.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
I thought it was earlier myself.
Yeah, so the buried alien that was cool in Quasar. They that little pop in from Barry Allen there.
Yeah, Quasar was really good.
Go ahead.
Tomorrow, guys. I'm sorry for taking over your stream, Rob, and changing the subject. Thank you. Appreciate you for having me on. I'll be on more often. Don't unsub this guy. All of these people, they're awesome. Even if they're Marvel fans or if they like Thor, they're still cool people. So you guys have a great night.
Well, we're getting really close towards. It's already past midnight, so I do this every episode. This is how we close things out. So you being the new person here, just joining us for the first time on this stream, we want you to go ahead and promote yourself. So why don't you go ahead, Flashpoint, tell us what your Instagram, your Twitter, what are you doing? Do you have anything coming up?
So I don't do Twitter because it's trash. I said that earlier in the chat because Twitter has become political bullcrap, so I don't really support it. I'm not going to get into that. I just dropped my first YouTube video, so go watch. It's nothing special. I have a bunch of mystery boxes coming, so we'll start uploading that soon. Thinking about doing a collection video. I'm going to really start pushing YouTube content eventually once I get things figured out. Let's see, what else is there? Instagram is mschmidt7413. You'll know it's me because there'll be a picture of my big white pickup truck. That's how you know it's me.
Hell yeah.
That's it.
All right. Well, I'm glad to have you here for the very first time. Anybody, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and sub him up. At the end of this, I'll try and get all his information and put it in the bio for this page here for this episode, so that way you can go ahead and do so. Otherwise, going around the room, I know that Lady Fantastic usually has to work the next morning, so I thank you very much for staying awake this late.
Yay!
Yeah.
So go ahead. Promote yourself.
I we'll be having an auction this Friday with Shortbox Padawan and Tacoma Comics. The time we'll announce. It'll probably be later in the evening, around 7 or 8 Central Time. But this Friday, we're going to do a little auction. And, hey, you can come, shoot the crap. Hopefully there will be some books you'll be interested in. And if not, the world will continue to rotate. So that's the cool thing.
If you don't show up, the world's going to stop. So do show up at our auction.
Lies. So, anyways, I hope you guys have a good one. And be safe. Wash your hands. Wash your ass. And
wash your ass.
And enjoy life.
Yeah.
And I also want to thank those that have shown up from the beginning, that have been here throughout this entire 2-hour stream. Thank you so much. We still have Air Spider 23. We have the uncanny Kyle Waka, all the way from, what is it, Australia?
New Zealand. He's a Kiwi. New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
And if read more, if you want to help liven up the show more by getting us out there, because we get about 15-20 people watching pretty regularly every week. I thank every single one of you for that. We also still have anybody else? Biggie Shack, man, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We also still have Lady Fantastic. So let's go ahead and see who else wants to say. Let's go ahead and promote yourself. Comics on the Mind.
I don't have anything planned this week. I do like Flashpoint. I have some books coming in the mail that I'm gonna show off to you guys this week. I might save some of them for Silver Age Sunday. Hint, hint. But I can't wait until those books come. So I'm probably gonna do some videos there. I've been trying to, since I'm working from home now, I've been trying to work on an edited show that I'm working on. I'm working on an edited show that I've been wanting to work on for so long. I've written it out, and now I got to just start filming it. So I will let you guys know when that's going to be coming out. But yeah, besides that, you guys will see me in the chat as normal, and I'll hop on whenever I can. So yeah, that's me.
And we love you, my man. I'm so glad that we're all healthy-ish. I don't know how healthy we are, because any of us can be a carrier, but I'm glad that this week we're healthy. We were able to come together as one. And the last person who I want, because I know he doesn't have that much to promote because he's still banned on Twitter.
Come to the dark side and go.
Correction and refinement of what you said. I am not banned on Twitter. I am making a stand on Twitter.
Get right.
Here's the thing, man. Listen, if I did something wrong, I'd take the gig, man. I didn't do nothing wrong. So I ain't taking the gig. And hopefully they'll fix their garbage algorithm after they leave me sitting out for 3 friggin' weeks. But so what do you got to do when you're stuck inside and you don't have your normal creative outlets? You go with other creative outlets.
Instagram.
I'm not on Instagram yet. I know. But I am writing articles for Batman's bookcase. You can find me there at Komoda 1977.
And you have a new article up, right?
I do. I just had a new article go up for whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow. I have another one, and it's a Batman related one, but that's all I'm going to tell you. And I'll be sending that into the publisher tomorrow. And so go over and check me out over there. I have a Doom Patrol reading list that I did for the site last year. That's up there as well. You can find. I'm a big Doom Patrol guy, so I have basically almost every issue they've ever appeared in.
Did you watch the TV show?
Love that TV show.
So good.
So head on over there, check it out. Batman's Bookcase is the website. Komoda 1977 KIMOTA, just like the Miracleman magic word, and then 1977 at the end, and you'll be able to find me on the site.
All right. And last but not least, my name is Rob Worst. Thank you so much for joining us on a Not Near Mint episode 34. I'm surprised as anybody else that we've gone this long, even with no new comic books. We still have stuff to talk about. We're a community, and like I told y'all at the very beginning of this, thank you to each and every one of you that show up week in, week out. The replay viewers, I thank you as well. We've been going 34 weeks strong, and we do care about each and every one of you. Reach out if you feel that you're getting a little bit too stir crazy, because you're not the only one. So thank you for showing up. I don't have anything in the briefcase because no new comic books, and I'm not buying anything new until I start getting regular work again. I have had people ask me that in the past about these books that are on my list, but until I start working again, no new books for me. So look out for my Instagram. It's RobWorst_NNM. And on Twitter, I'm just Rob Worst. So otherwise, the tip of the week is hold on to your money. You're going to be having plenty of buying opportunities coming to you very soon. Last but not least, well, this is the Not Near Mint crew. And I want you to go ahead, smash that like if you haven't already. Do so as you're leaving. Sub each other up in the chat. That's how you get to know each other in the community. Subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications. Have a snack. Wash your hands. Wash your ass. Drive fast. Take chances. And we will be back here next week, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. This is the Not Near Mint crew. Thank you, everybody. Hope to see you next week. And stay safe and stay not sick.
What's that number one rule?
Don't die.
There you go.